This is Mike, NoStressMike.com. What I want to talk about is mind-altering drugs. And the thing is, I'm older now, and man, you know, like I say, my reading abilities aren't all that good, so I depend a lot on experience. And I guess I could read some studies and all this kind of stuff, and maybe that'll mean something to me, but really, my experience, I'm really observant, since that's really what my main source of learning is, and I really enjoy learning. So what we got is, I've noticed, well, I'll tell you what really got me is marijuana. I know people that take marijuana, and I've known people that have done it for years and years, and I haven't seen them in years. And now when I see them, I can see the marijuana has paid the toll on them. And I didn't get them on my table, so I really don't know, how their body's going to show it. But I'm mainly talking about the mind. And I'm big on the mind. Attitude, and being able to control our minds that can help us do all kinds of cool things. So anyway, the marijuana, I've seen them. I did marijuana when I was in Vietnam. The last few months I was there. You can't carry enough cigarettes. I lived out in the jungle 13 months, and you just can't carry enough cigarettes. So it was much easier just to smoke the marijuana. There's a lot of marijuana, a lot. And so, but anyway, that's been my experience on it, and it wasn't that good of a thing. It was good at the time, but the thing is, you get the hungries afterwards, and that's not a good environment, to get your brain all messed up when you're in combat. Even though some people need to get their brain messed up so they can do the combat. But like I say, but I've noticed after the years, I see them. I don't want to say their minds don't develop properly, but I got a short attention span, and but that's because of I was born that way, along with a lot of other crosses I got to bear. But and I wish I could go into detail and say exactly what's going on, why they're focusing, their attitude, their all kinds of stuff. Why it's not right, but I can't. I'm sorry. One of the things that we noticed, most people, and that's the legal. Well, the rest of all the drugs are all legal, I guess. Well, I mean, besides the hard drugs, but prescription drugs, that alters people's way of thinking. I noticed that, when somebody's sick already, then they start taking medicine, they lose the spirit. They lose their excitement in life and all this kind of stuff. I noticed it in my father-in-law. He used to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I mean, he just enjoys life. He's out traveling and meeting people and doing things and stuff like that. Now, at that particular time, he started with being a diabetic. And so the prescription drugs changed him right there. You could see there was, like I say, he was starting to lose the fire. And then they started with blood pressure medicine and all this other kind of stuff. And it just got more and more. You could see him, he started gaining weight. So you can see the body. And like I say, the mind changes. So, and when that mind changes, you start, you either get lazy, or so then you eat more, or you say, well, I can go on and have this cake or whatever, and they start getting, and especially on a diabetic, their thinking is different. And, all this, and like I say, so I could see his health deteriorating, and when his health deteriorates, his mindset changes, and the way they look at life, and I've mentioned that before. Once you lose your health, you spend the rest of your life focused on trying to get your health back, and I've seen that's repeated. And normally, what they do is take medicine, and their health continues to deteriorate. Now, when I think about it, let me think. I'm sure there's an exception, but I can't think of anyone who's taken medicine and their health gets better. Now, I will admit that if they're sickly and they're taking medicine, now they may not be sickly anymore, that they know of, that they can see. But it's apparent in their actions, the way they think, the way they do things, and this type of thing. For the people that are close to them and knows how their normal character is, you can see they're out of character. Now, so prescription drugs do the same thing. Now, I know you're thinking, well, Mike, that's, you really don't observe all this stuff, and I observe it. You may not. You may think, well, it's part of getting old. And to my experience, it's not part of being old. It's part of what happens when your mind changes. And so then you start eating differently. You don't playing and having fun like you used to have. Well, that's because I hurt. That's because I'm getting old. No, it's not. It's because you're not healthy. Okay, now one obvious one, of course, the legal alcohol, because you can see people when they start drinking and then they start getting drunk. You can see you can see where their mind alters. That's an easy one. But even when you take the one glass of wine, you have one beer and this type of stuff, you're going through a change. It is affecting your mind. So, but if you're just going to sit there and enjoy it, then it's maybe not quite so noticeable. But when you do it as a habit, it'll change you. Another legal drug that would affect you is smoking. Smoking gets you changed too. Not only you get in a habit where when you don't have your smoke, you start shaking and all that. I know that because I got in the habit twice. I had to break that habit twice. in the way of cigarette smoking. And I say there's a difference between cigarettes. You see me, I smoke a cigar, and when I was in China, I started smoking the pipe. So, and the reason is, I can tell it changes my mindset, and it calms me. And I'm sure that's probably the same thing with all the drugs and all the other kind of stuff, and that's the same excuse that a lot of people use. And that's what it is. That it is an excuse, and it is an excuse for me too. Because you also noticed when I first went to China, I didn't smoke anything, and so I didn't smoke anything, and I was eating healthy, and I was pretty fit, and that's why when I came back, I started losing my fitness. And so what it is, there are things that we do that change our minds. And when our minds change, we do things not right with our bodies, in the way of diet, in the way of not doing the exercise or stuff like that. So there's a reason why mind-altering drugs are not good for you. And you need to understand that. And you need to take personal responsibility. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.